Welcome to Writing for the Communication Professions. My name is Professor Gilbert. Looking forward to meeting with everyone this year and learning how to write well. If you'll notice, that's the name or part of the title of both of our textbooks. So we're going to work really hard at that and learn a lot of things about becoming better writers. The first thing we're going to talk about today is briefly here for a few minutes is the writing process. I want to have you hear this before class starts to really give you an idea of where we're going in some ways. And this is a process we'll talk a lot about during the semester and we'll really hone in on as we go. The first step of the process is conceive. And often this can be the most difficult one. What in the world am I going to write about? Whether it's for a project, for a class, an idea for a paper, a blog post, what am I going to say on my social media account, posting a picture on Instagram, what do I want to say? You have to come up with an idea. And so that is the first thing. What is the idea? And it doesn't stop there, it's just the first step. The second step is collect. So now I know what I want to write about, but I have to have information, content to fill out that idea. So I have to begin to collect things. If I'm writing a research paper, I have to go find my sources, put it all together. What am I going to use, draw from? If I'm writing a journalistic type story or a press release, or I'm putting together a report for my employer, my boss, I have to collect information, gather it together, and then figure out what to do with it. So that is the second step. I have to collect everything, get it all together the best that I can. Maybe I move on to the other steps and realize I got to go back and collect more because I didn't collect enough, and that can happen. But at this step, you want to collect as much as you can. You may not use it all, but collect everything you can so that you will be well informed to then begin to actually think about writing. The next step in the process is focus. And this really is the most important, and it weaves its way through all of the other 5 parts of this process. Finding a focus. So you have a topic, you have the type of thing you're going to write about it, but again, I said organize, gather as much material as you can, but at the same time, you're probably going to have more than you need. And what is the focus of it going to be? You can't just write something well about a topic. You have to, what part of that topic? What is that focus? You're going to write your research paper about whatever it might be, but what about whatever that is most important that you're going to narrow down, focus on. The narrower, the better. So if I ask you in a simple exercise to write about what you did last summer, then there are probably 10 or 15 things you could include. But I'm going to tell you it has to be only 200 words. You're going to have to think, okay, I can't write about everything I did. What is one really fun thing, important thing, memorable thing that I did, and focus it on that part of your summer. So that's what we're talking about focus. It's about narrowing it down, finding what is most important, most compelling, most interesting, the best part of the story. Now that you have your focus, you've collected everything that you think you need, you have to organize it. So you've narrowed it down. Here's what I want my focus to be. Here's the stuff I have. Now let me organize it. You've probably done a lot of writing of outlines for academic papers and possibly other things in school over the years. I'm not asking you to write a formal outline for anything in this class. I am asking you to take a minute, think about how you want this piece to come together, and possibly writing down a short little informal outline. Just jot down a few things on paper. Make it a bulleted point list. It doesn't have to be an ABC 1, 2, 3 type of thing and real formal. One thing that can help is to just think about where I want to start, where I want to end, fill in the middle. So those are things that can help you get ready to write. So far, we're not writing yet. We've got an idea. We've been collecting information. We've been thinking about how we're going to focus that information. And now we're thinking about how we're going to organize it, making a few notes, helping ourselves get ready to get started to write. Now that we've done these 4 things, conceive, collect, focus, and organize, it's time to write. Now that sometimes is the scariest part, but if you've done these first 4 things, then sitting down to write and do a draft is a little less scary, okay? So, and remember, this is a draft. Some of you want to do a written assignment, sit down, write it once, and be done with it. Maybe read back over it, make sure you didn't misspell any words, do a spell check, check some grammar, be sure you did some things right that you remember from English class, that those are some things I need to do the right way, and be done with it. You don't want to go back and do anything else. That is not really writing. Making a first draft is simply a first draft. You should never intend for that to be your final product. That will inhibit how well you write. It will slow down your progress in becoming a better writer, and it just simply is not the best way to go about it. So remember, that first draft is just a draft. Do not put pressure on yourself to sit down, write it, and it has to be perfect. That is impossible. The greatest writers in the world do not operate that way. No one does. They write a first draft and then they go from there. And that's what we're going to talk about next, is what to do after I've written a first draft. So we've written our draft. Now it's time to revise. One thing you will hear me say many times is that writing is rewriting. This is where you make it a lot better than it was to begin with. The revision process, I don't care how many more drafts you do. You may sit down with your first draft and you may read through it, you may make changes. You may come back to it a couple hours later, make more changes. You may wake up the next day and think, I should have put this here and that there, and I forgot to include this, and so forth and so on, and go make more changes. Where you get in trouble is when that thing is due at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you start writing it at 1 o'clock, and you don't have time to really revise and make it as good as you can. So that is an important thing. Writing is rewriting. This is where the real joy comes in writing, because you find ways to make it better. That is encouraging to you. You learn how to do that. We're also going to talk about you don't have to be the only one helping to rewrite, to revise. Find other people that you trust, people that you think are good writers, good editors, or know something about the subject you're writing about, and have them read it if they have time. Say, hey, help me out a little bit. Give me some pointers. Give me some ideas. Is this story that I wrote, is this proposal I wrote, this press release, is it not make sense somewhere? Are there grammatical errors? Is it really slow here and boring? Is it not catching anybody's attention? Whatever the case may be, sit down with somebody, have them help you a little bit. That's always a good thing. In this class, all the major assignments, you will write a first draft and turn it into me. Now, I call it a first draft because it's the first time I see it. It could be the 3rd or 4th time you've gone through it and redrafted, revised, and that's fine. I encourage you to do that. I will then send that back to you with feedback on ways to coach you to help you make it better. And then you will take some of that into account, or all of it, and you'll do a final draft and turn it in, and that will be for a final grade. That first draft that you do, you'll get 100% for doing it if you turn it in on time. If you turn in late, there are penalties for that, of course. But that final draft then will be graded by a rubric that I'll be sharing with you, and you'll know exactly the types of things that I'll be looking for to give you a good grade on that. So that is the writing process. Conceive, collect, focus, organize, draft, and revise. Focus, remember, is super important. You're thinking about focus all the way through. And then revise, so important, just to keep working on it, making it better, cleaning it up, making it an easier read for people. Of all things, when you write, you want to be easily understood. Whether it's an email, whether it's a job cover letter, no matter what it is, you want to be easily understood. And that's what we're here to help you do, help you learn how to write so that you are easily understood and that people will respond well to the things that you write.